An announcement made by FBI Director Kash Patel this morning on the social media site X, alluding to the fact that his agency had foiled a terrorist plot to attack the UFC fight over the weekend, has angered Secret Service officials who say that it could have jeopardized that investigation and arrest of suspects. MS Now's Carol Leonnig and Ken Delanian report this, quote, "The problem with Kash Patel's social media announcement, the sources say, was the case had been sealed in court and roughly 10 suspects had not yet been arrested and placed in custody at the time Kash Patel made his public social media post. Secret Service and FBI officials had discussed seeking to make more arrests, unseal the case by late Tuesday afternoon, and make a joint public statement, and were surprised by Kash Patel, quote, jumping the gun. We all woke up this morning to see this on Twitter," said one administration official, who, like others, asked to speak confidentially to discuss sensitive matters. Matt Quinn, the Secret Service's deputy director, called out Kash Patel's premature announcement in a Tuesday news conference, but did not use his name, and said the Secret Service made a conscious decision not to reveal the existence of the probe prematurely. Quote, "I'll tell you a phrase I learned early in my career in the New York field office, and that's 'don't choke on your own smoke,'" he said. "I'll tell you, the Secret Service led that investigation from the beginning. I'll tell you that case is ongoing. In order to maintain the integrity of the investigation and the security plan, we chose not to leak it," end quote. I want to bring in senior investigative reporter Carol Leonnig. Michael Feinberg's still here. Carol Leonnig, it's the closest thing I've seen to a permission structure to call Kash Patel an idiot from inside Trump's own administration.
It is striking, Nicole. When I saw the video of Deputy Director of the Secret Service saying, remember everybody, don't choke on your own smoke, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is the Secret Service, a pretty buttoned down and careful institution of law enforcement, indirectly calling out Kash Patel, the FBI director, starting a little bit of a kerfuffle with the FBI director. When I went a little deeper into this to understand what had happened, it made much more sense to me why the Secret Service was so ticked off internally. And what sources were saying to me was the following. The Secret Service and the FBI began jointly investigating this before June 13th, based on a tip from an individual who said, hey, I've got a relative, I'm in Cincinnati. This relative is talking about a plot that they're hatching in D.C. Secret Service and FBI partner up together. The Secret Service begins reviewing an internal signal chat that they obtained through a subpoena. And in that, there are discussions about this plot of attacking the UFC fight with drones and possibly snipers. But here's where the story gets more interesting, Nicole. The case was sealed. The FBI and the Justice Department had worked together to arrest someone on June 13th, one individual, again, moved to make that court document absolutely a secret so they could continue investigating other suspects on the chat and begin arresting those whom they thought they could bring charges against reasonably well because of what they had said they were going to do in Washington, D.C. But all of those plans were for naught because then Kash Patel announced on Tuesday morning, here's what the FBI and its partners have uncovered and stopped from happening.
I mean, Michael Feinberg, you've got the head of the Secret Service or the deputy at the Secret Service basically accusing Kash Patel of, quote, choking and saying we decided not to leak. You've also got, based on Carol's careful reporting, an investigation that's been compromised at best. And the target was the White House, a White House event where the president was there. I don't think it gets any more serious. Why does Kash Patel still have a job?
I think much of America wants to know the answer to that question. We're at the point where we need to come up with a new word that encompasses something that should shock your conscience, but is totally expectable, because that's the only way to describe the weird combination of malevolence and incompetence that has marked Kash Patel's tenure. This is somebody manifestly unsuited for the job. He does not have the operational security discipline to realize when he should not run his mouth or post something on Twitter. When you arrest somebody under seal, there is usually a pretty damn good reason. And more often than not, it's because there are still more people you need to arrest whom, for a variety of reasons, you couldn't get to at the same time. So you keep the initial arrest quiet. That way the co-conspirators can't find out about it, panic, and flee. But here, apparently, Kash Patel inadvertently decided to give them a heads up, and now they may be scattered to the four winds.
I mean, Carol, you've done the most in-depth reporting on the kinds of people who never reach out to the press, never talk to the press, expressing alarm. I mean, what is the sense of his indifference to basic laws of catching bad guys? I mean, this seems like it's Michael Feinberg just explaining it, like all you have to do is watch SVU to understand that that's the case. You keep it quiet so you can get the whole all the conspirators, all the bad guys. Why is he permitted to blow up investigations when the target could have included people very close to the White House and the White House itself?
It's a very, very extreme worry inside the Secret Service, Nicole. And while I can't categorize how other FBI agents feel about this on the Joint Terrorism Task Force that was brought in to help investigate, I can tell you at the Secret Service, this is beyond annoying because, keep in mind, Donald Trump has twice been, forgive me, I have to change that, has 3 times since he began his campaign for re-election been the target of an actual attempt to kill him, an assassination attempt, where a gunman was either in hiding or was able to fire and get close to the president. At one point, the candidate for re-election and former president in Butler, Pennsylvania, 3 times. Yeah. So the Secret Service is on, they're always on high alert, Nicole, but they, believe basically that the threat matrix for Donald Trump right now is about 10 times any concern they had about Joe Biden. And I should clarify and say it's probably a good bit more than 10. Now, you asked a really important question that I want to be concise about, which is, this is part of a trend in which Kash Patel has repeatedly rushed to social media to crow, to boast, to claim that the FBI and its partners are catching the bad guys, are stopping bad things from happening. This happened in the shooting in Brown University, where Kash Patel prematurely claimed that there was a suspect in custody. That had to be walked back when it turned out that authorities just questioned somebody that they ran into, and the person had no nexus to the Brown University shooting. This happened again earlier in September of 2025 with the shooting and murder of conservative activist and Trump ally Charlie Kirk. Kash Patel rushed to social media, I think it was at a little bit after 6 p.m. the night of Kirk's death, to say we have the subject under custody, in custody. And within, I believe, 90 minutes, that had to be corrected because that person who was a potential person of interest turned out to have, again, no connection at all to the shooting. Just someone questioned for a reasonable reason, but that's it. So there have been a couple incidents now, and those are not the only ones, where Patel's desire to rush to the megaphone and really repeat something that Donald Trump does over and over again, right? Crow, boast on social media, claim credit. And his own investigators and fellow investigators are furious about it.